Okay, for day one, the snack you have, each day has 2 snacks. And the first one is beginning of time treats. So it's just a ding dong snack cake. And I used cookie icing because it dries, so it transported well. But you make little clock hands and you stick it on a popsicle stick. The other snack is Trinity Trio. You have 3 different types of triangular shaped chips. So think Doritos, Cool Ranch Doritos. They recommended the blue corn tortilla chips just because it makes a fun color. And you just stick them in a little cup. So that's the snack for the day. And the craft is Eternity Circlets. So they're making bracelets. The whole day you're talking about Jesus before creation and the Trinity. So they're making bracelets out of a washer. And in your guys' bags when you came in, or I handed you one, you have a sample. You get to make a bracelet with me. So while you guys pull that, I'll talk about the pre-primary version is a little different. It's using the elastic cord, and it's still using the red pony beads, but it's also using metallic silver and gold, and it's using clear perler beads. If you don't know what perler beads are, they're the fuse beads, the kinds you melt. Fun tip for you, at least near Louisville, Hobby Lobby and Michael do not carry clear ones in a package. You cannot just buy clear, but you can on Amazon, probably Oriental. So if you're wanting just clear and not buying the jumbo pack where you have to sort through, you're probably going to need to order that. But the little kids are just going to alternate clear, silver, red, gold, and then tie knots in the end to make a stretchy bracelet for them. So for the big kids, you're going to take 24 inches of black elastic cord, also really hard to find in black. That's why you all have white, because I bought out everywhere near me in black. Then you're going to cut it into 2 12-inch sections. You're going to take your washer, and you're going to loop the cording through the washer, and then loop it through to where you're pulling one side through. You're going to do the same thing with the other side. So put the string through the washer, then stick your string in through itself. Pull tight. So your washer is secured in the middle. Then you're going to take the red pony bead, and you're going to loop one on each side, and then you're going to knot it on there to where it stays in place. And do the same thing with the other side. And then to finish it off, you just tie it at the end, and the kids have a bracelet. So it's a really easy craft for the day. For the science experiments, there's also 2 science experiments each day. The first one is tanagrams. So you're just going to cut out the template there and give them paper, and they can try to make different shapes with it. I made a fish with mine. So you can do it on cardstock to make it a little sturdier, but let them play with that. And then the other one is rocks that fizz. Talking about God can't be destroyed, he's eternal. Well, you think rocks are indestructible. So you can take rocks, sand, crushed up leftover Christmas candy canes to get them out of your house, and you're going to stick them in vinegar, and then they're going to watch what happens when the vinegar starts to eat away on different substances. It recommends you let the vinegar sit out for a while, and some of the water in it gets evaporates, so the vinegar will be a little stronger. So that's day 1. Day 2, the snacks are Sarah's Cakes, which is apples in a cinnamon muffin, and burning branches using hot Cheetos, or you can make your own with wheat pretzels and you bake them with some spices, and then give them a container of ranch dressing to dip it in to cool off the burning branches. That day they're talking about Moses in the burning bush and how God was there, so they're making a really cute little burning bush craft. You're going to print on overhead transparencies. Make sure it's the printable kind. If you try to put the write-on kind in your church copier, it melts. So make sure it's the printable kind. You're going to cut up colors of tissue paper, red, orange, yellow, and they need 2 punch cups. Both the pre-primary and toddlers and the juniors and primaries are all making the same craft. So they're just going to glue on tissue paper on the punch cup. in random order all over. Gives it a fiery effect. Then they will, after they get that all covered, they're going to tape on the transparency. And depending on the size of punch cups you have, you might need to trim them down a little bit to make them stick good. But they tape it on their outside of the cup that they just decorated. And to keep everything nice and secure, you stick it in a second cup. And then you put the little tea lights inside. So it's a really simple craft. For the science experiment, they're doing a moment in time. You're making a hourglass, a sand glass, using 2 bottles, 2 jars. All you do for this is 2 clean containers that match. And then you're going to cut trace cardstock around the lid of the jar or the bottle and punch a hole in the middle. Then you're going to stick it in between with 1 bottle having sand. Duct tape it really good if it's with children. And let them time different things, have a clock in the room, see how long it takes things. Then they get a kind of take-home project to make their own sundial. You give them a paper plate. Depending on if it's the little ones or the bigger ones, you might need to punch the hole in the middle for them, or the bigger kids can do it with a pencil through the class. They're going to write 12 on there, tape their straw in, but then they take it home, and they work on it at home. They go outside and see at 1 o'clock and write your 1, write your 2, write your 3, and make their own sundial. Day 3, the snacks are Christmas cookies. You can decorate them. You could use icing or sprinkles. And resurrection brownies. You're talking about Jesus' birth all the way through his resurrection. So the brownies, you can also do icing on the outside if you want. For the crafts that day, I think this is my favorite. This one's really cool. This one is called Crisscross. And it's super fun. So you need 2 for... Well, I'll tell you the little kids first. Theirs is a little different. You're using just a 4x6 piece of cardboard, and they're going to color, kind of making a stained glass look. You glue it on, and then they're just going to wrap some black yarn around and tape it on the back. So theirs is really simple, but the bigger kids is really fun. You have 2 4x6 cardboard. You want the thick kind because you're going to be poking pins through it, so don't choose the thin stuff. You want the thick corrugated cardboard. Put a little glue in between your cardboard. Stick them together. Then you're going to use masking tape or painter's tape, and you want to tape around the outside edges. Keeps it stuck together really good. Dollar Tree's a really good, inexpensive place for painter's tape, by the way. It depends. Your older kids might be able to do this, but just kind of depends on the age of your kids and what you think they're able to do. It's probably going to be easier if you do this ahead of time, but if you don't have the people to do the pre-prep, it's not very hard, as you see. It's really easy to do. So once you get it all covered, then you're going to take a 4x6 piece of craft foam, any color. There's not a color specification on this. Glue on the craft foam. Then they're going to glue on the template that you've printed out on bright cardstock. It's got different names of Jesus written in different fonts. So that goes on there. Then if you can see, there are little dots all around. So they need some clear push pins. And a push pin goes on each dot. And it's going to make the shape of a cross. And with the thick cardboard, even if you push it all the way through, it doesn't touch you in the back. It won't poke you. But once you get them in, don't wiggle them, or then they come loose and they fall out and you have push pins everywhere. So after they put their push pins in the shape of the cross, they're going to use the little elastics that were like the rainbow loom stuff, whatever colors, multiple colors, or the same colors. And you're going to make a crisscross design on it. So you start by doing the outside. So you do one, and then you loop the next one on top. Then you're going to make it into individual squares. So anytime where it would make a square, you need to put one in. So now you have 6 squares, and then you're going to crisscross through the middle. And it looks super cute. This is my favorite craft of this year. So you just keep crisscrossing through each square until you get a finished cross like that. The science experiments are a marble run, and I don't know, I had a board, but you can either use foam insulation or just toilet paper tubes and paper towel tubes, and let the kids build their own marble run with some tape. You could do it on a wall, or you could do it on just big pieces of cardboard. And then the other science experiment is you're going to do a balancing act with a ruler and a hammer, tying into Jesus' dad. He was a carpenter, and a seemingly impossible experiment that you're going to balance it using gravity. For day 4, the kids are learning about Jesus is going to be ascending into heaven. So their snack is cotton candy clouds and a mansion of many rooms. And so you get a divided plate. I stole my infant daughter's plate, but they have some suggestions for divided plates and where to get them in there. But just you're filling it with different snacks. They recommend the Lay's chips because you need a lot of containers. Marshmallows, you could do apple slices, cereal. For the craft, they are making time capsules using the cleaned out Lay's chips containers. It says you can use the Pringle containers, but you need a different size construction paper to put on there. So for the Lay's containers, you need to cut off some of it, and make sure you're cutting it off from the long end so it fits. So before you cut hundreds of sheets, test it, because I cut mine wrong the first time. So make sure it's from the bottom, but when you get your piece of cardstock, they're going to glue it or tape it onto the chip container, and it'll overlap some. Labels removed from the containers. So they're going to tape it on, and then they get to decorate it. You get a printout page with all sorts of clock faces, and you have a little time warp time capsule, the name and the sealed on. They're going to take it home and fill it with stuff, and then they're not supposed to open it for a couple years. So they'll put their name and all that, and they decorate it with clocks. They can color it, and then there's a thing that goes on the top of the lid for their name, and it says do not open until the year, and then you give them a little paper reminding them what to do. The little kids, a little bit easier. They're just going to have a printed out paper that goes on there, and they decorate it. They're not going to be cutting and gluing. They can decorate it with little star stickers, but it's neat. They're not supposed to open it until later. Depending on your size of Pringles can, one piece of cardstock just about covers it, and you see a little bit of the color, but depending on what the people at your church like to eat chip-wise, depends on what you have. The science experiments for day 4 are the hand is quicker than the eye. They can make their own using an index card for the bigger kids. They can design their own pictures, or there's printed out pictures. There's a bumblebee, I think there's a fish, and there's another one. But when they decorate it and put on a straw, this one, it looks like the bees on the flower. They're also talking about Jesus ascending into heaven. We don't know how fast he went. They're going to make rocket balloons, and they're going to blow up the balloon, tape a straw onto it that's through a string, and then release the balloon and let it fly through the room. Day 5 is talking about heaven and the new earth. So the snack are king's crowns. So you're going to have gold or yellow treat cups with ice cream in it. And then petri critters, some gummy worms, gummy bugs, and a petri dish, which you can order online. The craft for that day is nuts and bolts, or Build-A-Bot pencil holders. The little kid, you're using leftover soup cans. And the little kids version, they're just going to decorate theirs with foam. And then also the hole reinforcers. You want to duct tape the rims of the cans so there's no sharp edges. And I found that vegetable cans kind of work better when they don't have, some of the cans have that big lip, like with the pop tops. Those hurt a little more through there. So I like the ones that don't have the pop tops, the old-fashioned kind. But they're going to use glue dots to make the face of it. So pre-prep, they're going to have duct tape already on it. But then the kids are going to use leftover odds and ends, whatever, to decorate with. They'll need some wiggly eyes. And however they choose to decorate it, they're just going to put the glue dots on it and stick them on the can to make fun little robot faces. So it's a good time for people to clean out their junk drawers or their workshops for leftover stuff. So pretty simple. They just make fun robot faces. For the science experiments that day, they're making a twister and a volcano. For the twister, a twister in time, they're going to use 2 bottles, put some water in one and a washer in between, and electrical tape them together. And we're talking about God being sovereign in control of the weather. He's in control of tornadoes. The new earth will be filled with good things, not bad things like twisters and tornadoes. So the other experiment is called This Is Nuts. They're going to discover the Brazil nut effect. So you can do it with actual nuts, or they have some options for nut-free depending on allergies. But you're going to start, this one is the nut-free option 3 with oatmeal, raisins, cornflakes, chocolate chips, and granola. And so give them little baggies, and each thing separated. And they're going to start layering with the big stuff first. So they're going to put it in the cups. And then they can time them as they gently shake them and watch the larger items will come to the surface. God is sovereign. He is in charge of even the earthquakes in the new earth. We won't have to worry about that. So as you gently shake them, the larger items will start to come to the top. So that's the science experiments, crafts, and snacks. Does anybody have any questions?
What does the tornado one do?
Oh, it'll make a little tornado. You spin it a little bit, and it'll come out in a tornado. Ideally, I'm never good at, see, there we go, I got one. They also, in the bookstore, if you don't like this option or afraid of the mess, they sell little like tube connectors up in the gift shop. I have one for my son. Any other questions? Okay.
All right. Well, we have a few minutes, so I just wanted to go over the scene setters with you guys and show you what's available for the scene setters. So if you want to create your own scene setters out of cardboard, Chris is going to go over that with you. You can do that. I know that I am not personally a decorator, and so it's easier for me to go with the scene setters. So whatever your choice is, whatever works out for you, Chris is fantastic artist and she loves doing that. So if you have someone on your team like Chris, then go that route and do that. These are some of the scene setters that will just help you decorate your spaces. This one is a theme verse seam setter. So on one side is the ESV, on the other side is King James. So whichever one, just make sure you don't get them, switched in the middle or something like that. So that's the theme verse one. This one is your main set. So you have the time machine in the middle here. If you want, you can cut this out and make a door out of it, so you could cut it this way. This one was designed so that you have different spots on your stage. So on your stage, there's supposed to be a spot for a desk, so you could put this one, mount this one on a different set of panels over here and put a nice desk in front of it. This is for your mad scientist. And then this is your main time machine area, and then over here there's another desk area, so you could separate this portion and put it over this way on your panels over here. So it's designed to be separated. If you want to just have one big scene setter, if you have enough room for that, you can do it that way as well. And then this is your classroom scene setter. So this will go in your simulation stations, your Bible lesson classrooms. This is where you put your teacher illustration poster daily in the middle here. So you cover it up at the beginning of the class, and then at the beginning of the class you talk about where are we going in time, and then you flip this up. If you want to put lights around it, you can put those rope lighting around it, flash that a little bit. It's just a fun effect for the kids here. And then these are your Animal Pals scene setters over here. So if you want to mount those on big poster board or foam board or cardboard, you can do that, cut those out and do those. And then over on this side, we have the Jesus timeline posters. So it goes from Jesus from eternity past to eternity future. And you can put those don't need to be all together. You can space those out, different areas, different places, wherever, however it fits into your decorating scheme. But it's just designed to give kids a visual and remind them that Jesus is eternal. He doesn't just begin at the cradle. He's eternal throughout all of eternity. And then outside the door, we have the photo op scene setter. So there's a nice time swirl that kids can take their pictures in front of. You've got the robot, and then two scientists. One's a girl, one's a boy. Two scientists out there. So feel free to take pictures with that. Are there any questions on the scene setters? When you buy the scene setter pack, you get one of each of all of these scene setters, or you can buy them individually. There's another one that we didn't put up. It's the laboratory scene setter. So that's just kind of a filler. You can add it on. If you've got a bigger stage than this and you want more filler for your stage, you can buy the laboratory one and add it there, or you could put it out in your hallways, wherever you feel like decorating as a laboratory for that one. Are there any questions about scene setters? Anything?
All these come in a pack.
You can get them all in a pack. Yep, you can get them all in one, or you can purchase them separately. So it just depends on if you only want that one and that one, then you can just buy them separately too. So, anything else? You can, yeah, they're on PDF. They're PDFs on our website, so you can purchase the PDF and download those, and then you could purchase, you can print them yourselves. If you have an oversized printer, that would work. That would work well if you have that access to that kind of thing, or whatever you wanted to print it on. Anyone else on the scene setters? All right, we'll take a brief break, and then Tim is going to go over the lesson time for you. Okay.